Hello, hello, and welcome to Four Wheel Tech, powered by ohmTown.com. Today is June 23rd, 2024. It's Season 1, Episode 14. I am Merwat, and along with the sentient AI from the future, and visualizer right there, we're going to talk to you about a bunch of topics. But first, I want to say hello.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens. Welcome to Four Wheel Tech.
Welcome to the show. Today we're going to be talking about Goodbye Chrome, software-defined vehicles, cheapest ownership, license plates ranked, the McLaren Artura Spider, Niobium Batteries, hybrid car moment, AI-powered truck startup, the Blackbird Roadster, and autonomous vehicles are safer-ish. Safe adjacent. Welcome to the show, but everything is powered by ohmTown and ohmTown.com, so go over and become a citizen and suffer through this. Welcome back. So, you ready to get into these 10 articles? We will try and get the show done in an hour.
I am.
We value your time.
And we can do it.
And we've done 4 shows already. Well, 3 other shows. And yesterday we did 4 shows. We typically do 1 show a day, Monday through Friday. And then over the course of the weekend, we do 8 shows. So stick around. Be sure to follow us here on Twitch and over on YouTube. We are in both locations. And download the podcast and leave a review. If you leave a 5-star review in the podcast, I will quote it verbatim, unless it's hostile, and then I will ignore it. Although I might chuckle. It depends on the tone of it, really. I mean,
the level of hostility.
The level, yeah. So, or the joke. I mean, depending on what the joke is, or the comment, whatever it is, I'll probably say it. I don't know. Let's be real here. My filter sometimes falls away. Maybe it'll get me soapboxing like I'm doing right now. Either way, this is not going to move us to the 1 hour show limit. So let's get into today's show. The very first article is over on the Mobile channel. Say goodbye to chrome on cars because it's dying.
Oh no. This is the end of cars as we know it.
The end of car. It's pretty hexavalent chromium. Sounds horrible. Say goodbye to the shiny stuff. Chrome has been synonymous with automotive style and luxury since the early days, and some of the greatest cars of the last 100 years have been adorned with the mirror reflection surface afforded by hexavalent chromium. Stellantis, an automaker, practically has shiny top layer chrome everywhere, I guess, or what? I don't know what they're going to say here. We only allow a snippet of the entire overall article. We don't keep the whole thing. We actually don't allow the whole thing. But anyway, Quartz or QZ.com is where the article is housed. That's the source of it. Cars will no longer ride eternal, shiny, and chrome. If you're not familiar with that term, it's from Mad Max. The Mad Max.
Furiosa?
Not the old.
Or Fury Road.
Fury Road is the source of that. Yeah. Ride eternal, shiny, and chrome, and they would spray silver paint on their grill, so to speak, in their mouth, on their face. Yeah, and then they would go and martyr themselves. Anyway, Bradley Brennell from Jalopnik put the article together and posted it over at QZ.com. Say goodbye to the shiny stuff. So, yeah, they've vowed... so Stellantis, an automaker that practically has shiny top layer chrome flowing in its veins, has vowed to finally remove chrome from its cars going forward, as it's a toxic, aggressively carcinogenic chemical. Yeah, hexavalent chromium is pretty bad stuff. It sounds bad.
Yeah, it does. But hasn't chrome... I'm not against this move, but hasn't chrome been in the auto industry
ever?
Since basically the beginning of the auto industry?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Stellantis is getting aggressive in its bid to nix the chemical, with chief global designer Ralph Gills calling the plan death of chrome. And frankly, I really don't have any problem with it. I don't really care for it anyway. I like a blackout
I mean, if
kind
you
of a car.
need something shiny, you could always get a Cybertruck and polish it.
Oh, God.
That wasn't a serious suggestion.
Sometimes I wonder about if I should have picked up that that weird looking USB drive. No, just kidding. No. I would never. I would always pick up that. So before I get too far into any of this, if you hit FWT 4-Wheel Tech, that'll give you all of the links to the articles that we're talking about today. And if you hit !pod, it'll post the podcasts, all 7 of them. And if you hit !show notes, it'll give you the commands that are necessary to extract the links to the other shows. Wanted, Warcrafters, Reality Hacker, Continuity Report, Technology Today, and today's show of 4-Wheel Tech. Yeah, there's actually 7 shows altogether. With more on the way. And if you want to host or co-host, you can get in touch with me. Just send an email to mayor@ohmTown.com. That part's important. You have to do the .com part.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's see here. So they want to get rid of chrome. The California Air Resources Board has labeled hexavalent chromium as the second most potent toxic air contaminant identified by the state. 500 times more toxic than diesel exhaust and has no known safe level of exposure. So it's pretty bad stuff.
Okay, then that's putting it into perspective.
Yep. Chrome plating has become a much more difficult and expensive process in recent years as regulators push for safer and cleaner practices. California, where most of the U.S. chrome plating happens, is pushing toward an all-out ban of using chromium-6 in the chroming process. It's the only thing that makes it probably lucrative enough to actually do. Perhaps without chrome, we'll see the return of the infamous gold package of cars in the 1990s, or maybe lighted badges will continue to grow in popularity. The author of this article, Bradley Brownell, says, "I hate chrome so much that I'm definitely okay with whatever comes next. It has to be better than chrome."
Okay.
Said with a red hot
Strong
passion.
opinion.
Keeps me warm
Yes.
even over the internet. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of chrome either. I like a blackout car. Debadge it, black out everything. Let's keep going. Sound good?
I don't have a strong opinion on chrome one way or the other, but because of all the toxicity, it seems like a good move.
Sounds good to me. Next article is over in 4-Wheel Tech. Why the shift to software-defined vehicles will require courage. I think this is such a bullshit statement coming from a top Qualcomm executive. It's nothing more than shifting. It's not even, I don't know. I have to filter my words because basically this is about software as a service and your vehicle being driven by software. So here, I can't really go into detail about this because it's one of these paywall sources where I know a little bit about it and there's a little bit of a comment here, but then you have to be a premium subscriber to it. But Lois Hoyle over at Automotive or autonews.com put the article together, and it says software-defined vehicles will force automakers to break some rules, according to a top Qualcomm executive. But essentially what software-defined vehicles is functionality that is controlled by the software so much that without the software, the car is nothing but a lump. You can hit the gas pedal and drive it and that kind of thing, but it doesn't have any features. But you can remotely turn on features, pay a subscription fee for heated seats, or the blinkers will work twice as fast, or whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can sit there and say about it. But that is what the future of vehicles is. More sophisticated computers allows them to do this software-defined vehicles kind of a concept here. So you'll have to be, not you, but the people who build these cars will have to become much more sophisticated in their functionality, the way that all of the parts interact with the operating system of the car. It's such a weird thing to sit there and go, it'll take courage, but it's really just, courage to piss off your customers, because I'll have to pay $15 a month for heated seats, or what was the one that we read recently? It wasn't
floor mats.
It wasn't floor. Was it?
We've been talking about that, but
there was some new functionality that was only enabled via software, and I can't remember what it was. Was it cruise control? You had to pay for cruise control. Yeah, that's what it was. It was cruise control that was software driven.
Wow.
And the person had to pay extra to get cruise control. I'm just astonished by this, but it's this marginal increase, right? They basically drip a little bit of tech out, and then you have to activate it by a subscription. So one of these days.
Yeah, and I think it's not just the payment and the ongoing payment, but it's also, if anything goes wrong with your car, you're probably not going to be able to fix it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, there's a whole article back on TechCrunch back in January 10th, 2024. WTF is a software-defined vehicle. And what they say is, at its core, a software-defined vehicle is any car, truck, or SUV with capabilities that can be upgraded over time fundamentally by software. So you have everything on your car. The thing that's hobbling what you've paid for is the software. So come on, hackers. Show me what you got. Let's keep going. The next article is over in 4-Wheel Tag, the 10 cheapest vehicles to own and operate over 5 years. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, probably what you're looking at is the interest rate if you're not just buying it outright. And a lot of people can't swing the bat for that. So Chris Teague put this article together over at autoblog.com. And Hyundai Venue is $22,761. These are the cheapest vehicles to run for 5 years. The Venue's 5-year costs amounted to $22,761, followed by the Elantra at $22,788. I'm not quite sure why the Elantra. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it's $27.
So this is not the purchase price, correct? This is only once you own it.
For 5 years, maintenance and everything. I believe that's it. Yeah. Right?
Okay.
I believe that's what they're saying. Market Watch Guide's new study calculated the 5-year cost for gas models, including the Hyundai Venue, is less than half as expensive to own as some luxury vehicles. Right? Yeah, they used gas, insurance, repairs, financing costs to calculate its running expenses. Looking at the prices, the purchase prices of the vehicles on the list, it's not surprising to see that most of them are going for affordability. That extends to operating expenses. So the Venue's 31 mile per gallon combined fuel economy rating likely help it achieve its impressively low running costs. So yeah. Let's see. Hyundai, Nissan Sentra, Honda Accord, Toyota Corolla, Hyundai, Kia, Hyundai, Ford Escape, which is the anomaly in this.
Right, what is that doing on this list?
And I've never known how to pronounce this properly. Is it Tiguan?
That's as good as a guess that I have.
So Hyundai is really cheap, but I suspect it's because they've got 14-year-olds that are stamping out car doors. That's what the report said, that there were kids underage.
Yeah, there were. But that wasn't across the board. That was at one location.
All right. Well, maybe it's a very prolific door stamper. Sorry. I'm a little snarky. All right, folks. So there you go. 10 cheapest vehicles to run for 5 years. There's much more over at autoblog.com. So follow the link through ohmTown. Go check it out. I was really curious about this one, so I had to click it. Four-wheel tech is where it sounds.
Headline.
It really implies that the California one sucks. But anyway, all 50 U.S. license plates ranked from best to California.
I've never heard of California as a ranking, but I like that.
Yeah, it just kind of sucks. So James Reswick put the article together, but I like their snark. So the deck statement says fully updated for 2024. Where does your state's plate rank? But it's an opinion piece. So tier 1 colorful classics like Colorado is number 1, New Mexico, then Vermont, then Hawaii, then Delaware. Why would Delaware? It says the plate is like an NBA team in the 1980s that didn't change its color scheme and make its logo a cartoon. Sure, they looked old-fashioned back then, but now that fashion has come back to classic. They're quite happy they stayed the course. So be the Delaware license plate. Sadly, it's flat printed and looks a bit cheap, but it's also been that way for decades. Consistency. The classy dark blue color framed in gold with matching writing is timeless enough to make up for it. They're so passionate about it. It's like when people talk about business cards and, oh, look at the linen feel and it's thick and it has this raised print, the embossing and debossing. All right, relax there, bub. I don't want to catch you sleeping with the business card under your pillow. New York, that's tier 2, symbolic, distinctive, and tidy. So wait, in what order is this?
Well, you're rating the best to the worst.
I'm reading from the best to the worst. Doing okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So we just hit tier 2. Symbolic, distinctive, and tidy. New York, Nevada. Actually, I like Nevada's. That's actually...
Yeah, I think that one looks
rainbow...
So I would probably agree with that.
Kind of like a Rainbow Hills kind of a thing going there. Then Nevada, which is, I don't know.
No, that was mean.
This is mean. Yeah. Then Rhode Island. And then Minnesota, announcing it has 10,000 lakes. Has anybody counted them?
I don't know.
Bet you one dried up. Then Wisconsin. I don't see any cheese anywhere in this.
Oddly enough. Oh, wait, you're hitting a new tier.
Tier 3, vibrant, distinctive, symbolic. Probably going to clash. I like North Dakota's. That one actually seems pretty cool. It's
that
got a
kind of looks like Nevada's, like with the landscape thing at the bottom.
It's got a buffalo in it.
Does it have a bison? Yeah.
Or bison. Yeah. And then Oregon. And then scenic Idaho. It's not just Idaho.
As opposed to Idaho.
Yeah. And there's Utah. And then Alaska, which I think it has never changed.
Tier.
Right? A little too classic. Oh, they actually called it out. Yeah. A little too classic. Are they really going to call out California's classic? Because California has a license plate, but they also have a classic license plate.
Well, remember the headline.
All right. Well, tier 4, a little too classic. Old school. And then Montana. That's a little... It's basically the plate. Like the shape of the state is the plate.
Yeah, but you don't even really notice it because you're like, why is it?
Because it's almost a square.
Exactly.
Why didn't you just make it square? So
maybe
Montana
made the plate like the state.
Yeah. Make the plate the state. Like stamp out the curve.
Yeah. Or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they probably wanted the mounting points. Because all of this is wasted space.
Mm-hmm.
So that was Montana. And then Texas is dry white toast. Literally. It looks like it's just a white plate
It
with
doesn't
black
have
letters.
a picture of toast on it, though.
Yeah, it just has
the other parts.
the embodiment. It has a tiny little Texas between the letters and the numbers, and then a single star on the top left corner. And then it had to write it out, the Lone Star State. And we know.
Right, no, it wasn't the dual star state or whatever. We only see one on the license plate.
And then for whatever reason, Tier 5 has no formatting on it. It just says acceptable.
Maybe they did that on purpose to
Yeah.
not give it any pizzazz.
The Garden State, it has 6 characters with the Garden State right in the middle of it. And then, the state design, and then New Jersey at the top, and then Garden State. But it's like this faded yellow at the top, slowly drab.
It should be number 50 from what we've seen so far.
This is like really blah. Anyway, Mississippi amplifies the S's by making them curl into each other quite a bit. Then it has the state stamp on it. Louisiana. Then Tier 6 is North Carolina, and it has the plane. First
and it's
in
distinctive
flight.
and symbolic, but yet busy.
Yeah, I think it's busy because of first in flight being overstamped on the
On the airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't remember the name of the airplane. What do they call that? Damn it.
Well, biplane maybe. It's
Yeah,
the
but it's-
Wrights. The
Yeah,
Wright
the Wrights
brothers,
plane.
but-
Yeah, but I think it had a name. Anyway, like the Spruce Goose was the big one. I think this one had a name too, but I don't remember it. Anyway, I think that's really busy there, but where else are they going to put it, right? And then Washington, which just has, it's the Evergreen State and has a mountain in it, volcano, Mount Rainier. And then Wyoming. That one's busy.
Yeah, it's like, what is going on there?
And they dedicate
There's
a
stuff
lot.
happening that you can't even
the
see
symbol.
behind all the letters.
I mean, they put a
Yeah.
hell of a horse on there, and like cowboy kind of a thing.
We want to see that more than the numbers on the plate.
In South Dakota.
That's also busy. Like, it's all behind the letters.
Yeah. It's all stamped. Ugh. Then
yeah,
New
all
Hampshire.
of these are like that.
Busy. And then Arizona. You know what? We're spending way too long. We're only at 27? Dear God. Hold on. I'm fast tracking this. I want to see 50. You can go and check out the rest of them in between. I mean, there's tier 11. It says you're just not trying. Virginia is just a white plate with a blue Virginia. Virginia is for lovers until you hit over 80 miles an hour, and then it's an astronomically expensive ticket. And then it's Virginia is for haters. Then there's Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. And that's simple. That's straightforward.
It's
I
better
actually
than all
like it.
those busy ones.
Yeah, right? And that's like the state colors, right?
I guess. I'm not sure.
Then Michigan. I'd rather go to impure Michigan because it's more fun. Anyway, California. Yeah, it is. It's not even the classic plate, which was black with gold.
Right, that one
or
was
no,
probably
it was
scored higher.
it was gold
because-
with black. Yeah.
Because
see?
the Alaska plate was higher up, and then also the Delaware one.
See, they even talk about the black plates. California
Oh, yeah?
legacy plates. Yeah, I wanted those so bad. But you know what you have to do to get a black plate in California? Be
No.
in California. Let's keep going.
Oh, yeah, there is that detail.
The next article is over in 4-Wheel Tech. The 2025 McLaren Artura Spider as a heart-thumping first supercar experience. I'm not going to spend long in this. The deck statement says, I was a fish out of water testing a supercar in the glorious French Riviera, but now I understand the appeal. Elizabeth Blackstock is the author of this article. Yeah, I suppose. You know, I can't justify spending that kind of money on a supercar. But some people are more passionate about it. Artura's original 671 horsepower. The greater the power is available on a coupe with a quick update. So it's a V6 3-liter twin turbo, 690 horsepower. The original Artura was 671. The retractable roof and electric motors add a mere 136 pounds to the Spider's overall 3,212 pound weight. How fast does this damn thing go? Like Mach crazy?
I'm sure it does.
Yeah, you'll have to go over and read the article. I love the color. I do really dig the design. The industrial design is amazing. I really do like it. They say here that the incredible electrochromic roof panel adopts something called suspended particle technology that can block 99% of sunlight and 96% of solar energy to keep the cockpit as cool as possible and prevent any unwanted sunburns with literally the touch of a button. It's really neat. If you've never heard of this, you basically touch a button and it turns on an electric field inside the glass and makes it opaque. And it's pretty damn awesome. And like high-end offices and stuff like that actually use that to create privacy shields. So when you want somebody to see you in your meeting room, you turn it off. And when you want people to go the hell away, you turn it on. It's pretty cool. I don't know, this thing seems really kind of snug. Wonder if they say anything.
Well, isn't that the case with a lot of like sports cars? I mean, they're not exactly roomy inside.
Yep. With the instant torque offered by the electric motor, every touch of the pedal will launch you forward with a spirited leap before the combustion engine and acts a smooth and deliciously loud takeover. And that's one of the things about these hybrid EVs. The electric motors are there only to remove the need to spool up a turbo or the torque converter. The transmission doesn't take as much of a beating. The engine doesn't have to sit there and crank up power and consume a lot of fuel. The motors get the car moving and then everything lines up and off you go with 600, 700, 800 horsepower. That's the new supercar kind of a thing. They said that they decided to swap to electric mode for their final jaunt lap around the Monaco Grand Prix circuit, albeit at a slow midday traffic crawl in full EV mode. You can cruise like this for about 11 miles, courtesy of Artura's 7.4 kilowatt battery. These are slightly unimpressive numbers that are matched by the fact that switching to electric also drops your beastly power down to a measly 94 horsepower.
Wow.
Wow. It's pretty. But, yeah. All right, folks. $278,800, including a whopping $5,000 destination fee, but excluding any of the optional extras like performance interior package of $10,000, electrochromic roof of $10,000, or the driving assistance technology package of $8,000. It says it may be an approachable supercar.
For some, but it's not for the author.
Let's see, what did they say? For me, it was a look into a different universe, one where I can afford a night at the Hotel de Paris in Monaco and dine with former Formula One driver Stefan Johansson and crackle my exhaust pipes. All right. Nice. Anyway.
It looks very cool. It's very expensive and not very roomy.
Yep, for sure. All right, folks, let's keep going. The next article is over in Four Wheel Tech. Brazilian mining company is testing out ultra-fast charging Niobium batteries in a VW bus. I think it's a bigger bus than you think. It's not the little bus. I'd rather it be in the little bus. The range isn't much for now. It's said to charge in just 10 minutes. Reuters is the source of it, but it's posted at autoblog.com. The company sells niobium products, CBMM, backed by Brazilian billionaire family Moreira Salles, which also runs lender Itaú Unibanco. Hopes the project could help it reach its target of multiplying nearly ninefold its battery unit revenue to 100 million by 2026, so in only 2 years. The Volkswagen electric trucks are packed with a niobium-based battery that it claims can be charged way faster. Is that a technical term? Way faster than the others in the market.
That's a specification.
I wonder what that translates to. So they say that it can be charged fully in 10 minutes. Yeah.
How is that possible?
I have no idea. They say that a conventional battery takes 3 to 8 hours to be fully recharged. You can typically charge to 80% in about 30 minutes. Sometimes you can get away with a shorter 15 minutes, but once you get to the 80-point marker, there's so many electrons being stuffed into the battery that there's no room, and it generates a ton of heat, and so you end up having to trickle charge it, and it takes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours to charge fully. But it says for now the product will be tested in just one electric bus from Volkswagen Caminhões e Ônibus, a Brazilian unit from Volkswagen Truck Division. So if you want to see what this thing looks like, follow the link through ohmTown. It's number 8 on the list. Let's keep going. No, it's number 7. No, that can't be. Where am I?
You're in ohmTown.
Yeah, it's number 6. Sorry, folks. Okay, so the next article is over in Technology Today. Hybrid cars are having a moment, even though they're dirtier than people think. What's behind their popularity? Never mind. Last year, data suggested that plug-in hybrids were on the way out in Australia, but they're back, baby. Back with a charging vengeance. New data shows plug-in hybrids and conventional hybrids combined have overtaken battery electric vehicles. The trend continued during April and May. I've said why. It just didn't manifest until people got sick of the shit. Pardon my language. The article's over at techexplore.com. Hussein Dia from The Conversation put this article together, and they've got vehicle emissions and whatnot. But here, this isn't what people are concerned about so much. Like, some are like, I want to be an electric vehicle, and that's what I want because I care about the environment. And then they poo-poo the idea about you telling them that the battery was powered by open pit mines, manually mined by child labor in third world countries that are conflict driven, and anyway. So in the first quarter last year, hybrids accounted for 6.8% of all car sales. In the same period this year, their share has almost doubled to 13%. Similar trends have been reported in international markets. This is concerning. Although hybrids are cleaner than traditional petrol and diesel cars, they still burn fossil fuels and produce more emissions than their manufacturers claim. They are no match for zero emission battery electric vehicles, which, by the way, I will reiterate, is disingenuous as to the source of all of the materials needed for zero emissions battery.
Well, right. They're not accounting for all that. But also, is that customers' biggest concern?
No, it never. I mean, it is in a small subset of people. But what people don't want to have to do is sit for 30 minutes to 8 hours charging their battery, and then every year losing upwards of 2% of that 100%. So they're never at 100% ever again. And they can only really charge in not even a reasonable, don't tell me ever that 30 minutes is a reasonable amount of time to sit around picking your nose, hoping that your car is going to charge so that you can drive another 80%, which isn't even 80%. Anyway, So conventional hybrids, plug-in hybrids, both types of hybrids are cleaner than traditional internal combustion counterparts, and they are the stepping stone. The only way that we should be switching to pure battery is if nobody has to pay for the battery anymore, and it's fast swap technology. That's it. I should not have to pay for a disposable, right? I pay for my gas, but it's because I consume it. I pay for replacing the engine, but not until after 250,000 miles and I've driven that car into the ground. How long does that take? Could take 20 years. Some cars are antiques, like Merwatt, and on the same ticker. So, 50 years ago, in the same engine, it just gets maintained. But an electric vehicle will have to replace the battery in upwards of 7 years because it can't hold a charge long enough to get you to the next charging station.
Right, and just a stat, I think the average length of time people are keeping cars now is 12 years.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to, at least.
You're going to have to shell out $7,000 to $12,000 for a battery that the technology may have gone past, so you have to get a reconditioned one that doesn't hold a charge as efficiently, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we could spend forever talking about this, but I don't want to have to pay for something that is a known degrading portion of it. It's not like brakes where you go into it knowing, and you know that the material of the brake lining gets replaced. Fine. But to know that you're going to have to shell out upwards of $13,000 at this current valuation, later on, that 12-year-old vehicle that you're getting a new battery for may not have that battery around, and you'll have to find something that is technologically compatible with the old footprint. Why not just start working on that now with fast swap batteries and nobody has to pay for the damn battery?
Well, we don't seem to have that yet. We've seen it with in at least one other country. Yeah.
Yeah. And it had happened here and then got put away. So why are hybrids so popular? Heavily promoted by car makers, they say, which is bullshit. The reason why it's being promoted by car makers is because they're tired of all of the problems associated with conventional all-electric vehicles. It says, notably, Toyota, the world's largest car maker, is skeptical of battery electric vehicles and is instead focusing on hybrids until it says public chargers are widespread and electric vehicles are cheaper. Again, they're expensive because of the battery, and they're not as widespread because infrastructure costs are substantial. And they have a huge carbon footprint. You have to lay down a massive pad. There's a huge transformer. Everything has to step up or down depending on where your chargers are. There's a finite number of charging bays. Somebody can steal the damn charging cable, and that's on the rise. All kinds of things are problematic. And an ICE vehicle can just sit there and park jackknifed across it. And what are you going to do? You're going to shrug your shoulders at them and go, give me a parking spot. Whatever. Anyway.
Or you might be somewhere like New York where they're double parked and you have to just sit there forever.
Oh, God. So hybrids are not much cleaner. Hybrids, especially plug-ins, have been found to produce more emissions and cost more to run than their manufacturers claim. Recent real-world costs on a sample of 124,000 plug-ins in Europe showed the carbon dioxide emissions were on average 3.5 times higher than the laboratory values reported by manufacturers. Because in practice, plugins weren't being charged and driven in electric mode as frequently as expected. All right, but at least I don't have to sit around for upwards of 8 hours waiting for my damn vehicle to charge. It's substantial. Anyway, they talk more about this over at the link, but suffice it to say, the reason why people are moving away from all electrics and over to hybrids is because of convenience, and convenience will trump saving the planet every day. Why? Because we have a finite amount of time on the planet. I don't want to sit around for an entire hour waiting for my car.
Well, and to your point, we know that because of the proliferation of convenient single-use plastic items.
Next article is over in the Mobile Channel. A self-driving truck startup says that its AI-powered cars will hit the road next year. Pardon me one second. So sorry about the clunk. So, self-driving truck startup says that its AI-powered cars will hit the road next year. More self-driving trucks are coming to Texas next year as Canadian startup Waabi is getting ready to put its artificial intelligence-powered fleet on the road. Are you part of this? Sentient
Why?
AI?
I'm not from Canada.
I'm not Canadan. William Gavin over at Quartz or QZ.com put the article together. The deck statement says Waabi CEO Raquel Urdison also has plans for AI-powered robo-taxis and drones. So apparently, wow, Waabi is one of just a handful of autonomous vehicle companies that have taken to AI's first approach to tackling self-driving vehicles, relying on generative AI models to predict how vehicles move, like generator tools like OpenAI's DALL-E. Waabi, it's probably Wabi, might be Waabi, I don't know. Waabi takes data gathered by LiDAR and creates a map of its surroundings before breaking down that information to predict how vehicles will move in the very near future. Unlike rivals like Waymo or Tesla, Waabi doesn't rely on the time and cost-heavy method of operating a fleet of cars collecting data by driving millions of miles on public roads. Rather, it uses a simulation, Waabi World, to test scenarios at scale and predict results. So it's simulating...
This sounds like Wally World.
Yeah, Waabi World. You're going to be so damn happy that these cars are on the road that we're going to have to chisel your smiles off your face.
Wow.
That's Waabi World. So, we have everything we need, breakthrough technology, an incredible team, and pioneering partners, investors to launch fully driverless autonomous vehicles in 2025. CEO and founder Raquel Urdison said, This is monumental for the industry and truly marks the beginning of the next frontier for AI.
Whoa, this is sounding like they have AGI or something.
So Waabi is developing autonomous trucking by applying cutting-edge generative AI to the physical world. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang said in a statement, I'm excited to support Raquel's vision through our investment in Waabi, which is powered by NVIDIA technology. So the simulations are actually something that NVIDIA announced during its recent stockholder meeting and technology showcase. They do a high resolution simulation, and then that data gets directly applied to their AI models in the vehicles, instead of what has been happening prior to NVIDIA's innovations, which is basically
You mean like testing it out on the road with people walking around?
Correct. Yeah. So, yeah, it's basically the lab environment. And I think it's brilliant that they do this, but wow, is it expensive. Like a little desktop computer with NVIDIA's technology is like $30,000. And, you know, this is not for the meek wallets. Okay, let's keep going though. We've got two more articles, folks. The next article is over in Four Wheel Tech. The Blackbird Roadster proves electrifying vintage Porsches is anything but sacrilegious. So blame the pandemic, somebody's pandemic project, I guess. Phil Wagenheim, the highly energized New York investment bro who is CEO and one of two partners at Connecticut's Sacrilege Motors does. You see Wagenheim, who made bank during the early days of SPACs, special purpose acquisition companies, basically blank check investments, had been hanging out with kids at home a lot. And that led to the electrification, I guess, of a classic Porsche 911 and packs full of Tesla tech to create an EV you might actually want, except for sitting around waiting for it to charge.
The Tesla tech.
Yeah. Don't get it wet. Jamie Kittman over at jalopnik.com put the article together. You see Wagenheim, who made bank during the early days, converted a Porsche 911. So
He
he
must have
called
been
his...
bored during the pandemic, and that was his project.
Oh, as he approached his beloved 993 Turbo one day, however, Wagenheim noticed it was leaking oil, which made him mad. He called his longtime pal and soon-to-be business partner Bobby Singh, might be Singh, a respected Porsche mechanic, racer, race engineer, and former Boeing 747 wrench. In a moment of pissed-off pique, Wagenheim told Singh, "Bobby, my car is leaking oil and it's smoking out the right tailpipe. Let's just convert this thing into an EV." And boom.
Okay.
All right. I mean, there really isn't
Snap
much
your
else to
fingers
say
and
about
make it happen.
Yeah. So pretty cool. Let's see. Do they really say anything else about it? I guess they're doing conversions. I know somebody that does Porsche conversions. Well, I knew somebody that did classic VW and Vanagon conversions with Porsche engines into the VW bus and Vanagons.
A little zippy.
Yeah. Pretty neat. All that fell apart a long time ago, but so incredibly, Sacrilege's electric 964 weighs less than the ICE car on which it is based, with Sacrilege quoting it all-in figure of 3,009 pounds, a purported 200-pound savings. Range quoted as 200 miles on a charge may not encourage a lot of cross-country jaunts, but still betters most converted cars. Well, that's because they literally took a Tesla and stuffed it into that body.
Yeah, it's hard to go wrong with it.
If you already have the platform that's tried and true, you stick it into
right,
this.
That's going to be easier than building it from scratch.
Yeah. There's a known quantity. Even if you have to shorten the battery pack, you still know a comparable length, that the efficiency ratio, you know? I don't know. It doesn't seem, and plus if you're tech billionaires, then you can pretty much do whatever the hell you'll want to. So yet another fever dream, but hey, I'm here for it. I dig the tech. I love the vehicle idea. Indeed, the only thing that would deter the author from buying one of these would be, well, just about all of the world's population, to be fair, from buying a Sacrilege conversion would be the price. $850,000 without a donor car, sourced by the company, or $750,000 when the purchaser supplies a car that is sufficiently straight and unrusted. This means it's a rarefied bunch that may be interested, some of whom may be or will be enticed by the Blackbird, the Enigma Coupe, a sunroof delete model that's soon to debut, or perhaps one of 6 other cars already being built in Sacrilege's Connecticut facility. So,
yeah, this is definitely a 1%er
yeah, this is more
project, but it's neat to
0.5%er.
see them tinker
Sure.
with the technology.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I dig it. Push the limits. That's fine. It's not my money. I can't tell you what to do with it. But yeah, I wouldn't be buying one of these. Then again, I'm not a tech bro. I'm a techie, but not a tech bro. All right, let's do our last article. Technology Today. Autonomous vehicles found to be safer than human drivers, except in 2 types of situations. So let's jump right into this, the 2 types of situations. Bob Yurka from Tech Explore put the article together over at techexplore.com. In their study published, a pair of engineers from University of Central Florida has found that autonomous vehicles are generally safer than those, except in 2 conditions. In their study, published in the journal Nature Communications, Mohammed Abdel Adi and Shengshuan Ding analyzed automobile crash data from California over the years 2016 to 2022, comparing the safety of autonomous vehicles versus human-operated vehicles. Over the past several years, accidents involving autonomous vehicles have been reported extensively by the media, giving the impression that such vehicles may be unsafe or less safe than vehicles driven by human beings. Researchers found that under most conditions, the autonomously driven vehicles are safer than those driven by humans. Put another way, they suggest that the odds of an accident in an autonomous vehicle were lower than human. But they did find 2 scenarios. Low light conditions such as sunset or sunrise, we knew about that and had talked about that. So is it both? Like both of them are dusk and dawn?
That's one.
Oh, and
of
when
the
turning.
cars. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So in low light and when turning. So
Well, that's kind of a problem because the turning is happening pretty much anytime we're driving.
so is it just completely blind when it's dusk or dawn and turning?
Probably.
It just smashes straight into a fire hydrant. You can actually hear it whisper, "Screw it," and just crashes straight into a telephone pole. Researchers suggest that highlighting the weak points of the autonomous vehicles should lead to efforts by vehicle makers to solve the issues, ultimately making them safer. They also note that technology matures, as it did with human-driven vehicles, the vehicles will become safer. Yep. I mean, it's true. We went from a speed limit of 5 miles per hour because it would scare horses to being able to drive 95 miles an hour and not get in an accident, and it's stable until you get to, Methany is behind the wheel. And
yeah, I was going to say it depends on the driver and the road.
So there's more in this article, and they have one of these really cool flow diagrams that show how things break out, like conventional mode versus autonomous mode. And then stopping, it shows incidents while moving, and what the accident result is, minor, moderate, and major, and so on. It's pretty neat. I kind of dig that. I wish I could, for whatever reason, gather data to utilize something like that. It's just a pretty design,
Mm-hmm.
There's a subreddit on Reddit called Data is Beautiful, and they do stuff like this. They make data come across as neat. So I dig this. Anyway, I'm all for autonomous vehicles. I want autonomous vehicles like nobody's business, but everybody has to switch, because what I want to do is call up an autonomous vehicle and say, take me here, and it instantly hits 115 miles an hour and gets me to my destination, making lane changes as rapidly as needed. And I don't have to do anything. I can just sit there and strip everything off and just put my gold thong on and show up at the bank to make a withdrawal so that I can go and get my 911 Porsche converted into an EV.
From Sacrilege Motors.
From Sacrilege. See, I didn't want to drop their name because now it's canon that here in ohmTown, the mayor is going to go and...
But you already said you weren't going to.
It's true. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn down the lights real low, make a left-hand turn, and that's going to make us crash right into the welcome sign over at ohmTown.com. So go over and become a citizen of ohmTown.com. You won't regret it. You might regret it because you'll see a whole bunch of headlines that you may not like, but you can subscribe to the headlines. Well, you can subscribe to the categories you're interested in. It's a lot of fun. Manages your information overload. Bunch of sources aggregated into 6 main categories, 50 sub-channels. There is a little bit of conversation that takes place within them sometimes, but most people that have been using the site are gathering the information based off of the main categories and the front page, but we won't get there. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Did you have anything else you wanted to say?
Just good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Portable Tech. We'll have another episode of that next week, but stay tuned for upcoming episodes of Non Sequitur News.
Tomorrow at 8 p.m.
Not
Eastern.
Today, yes.
Although tomorrow's episode is going to be postponed and we're going to have a time machine episode on Tuesday. I have mayoral duties that require my attendance. And so tomorrow's episode is postponed until Tuesday. But Monday through Friday is when Non Sequitur News is typically held. So be sure to follow us to be informed when the next episode goes live. Bye-bye, everybody. I've got nothing to say. See y'all later.